Let's practice watercolor, but the practice isn't going to go to waste. Today we're going to be focusing on blooms and dry brushing. On about a half a piece of paper, I'm going to put a bunch of different blue colors. You can go between different blue colors. You want to work pretty wet. Then wash your brush and tap it off so that it's just barely wet. And then we're just going to make little dots and drop that water in to create these interesting blooms. The water's going to push away the pigment particles, so it's going to make these fun little shapes, kind of like snowflakes. You'll see where I'm going with this. If you want to on this one, you could fill up your brush with some white or some metallic watercolor and also drop that in. Blooms are going to start small, but they grow. So you don't need to go overboard with this because they will kind of spread out and move on. We're going to do the same thing, but with a bunch of greens. This practice session is the perfect time to use a bunch of colors that you had sitting around that you dried because you didn't want to waste them, but you're not really sure what you want to do with them. On this one, the blooms aren't as important, so if you don't want to add them, you don't have to. But I want to, so I'm going to. On the next half a page, we're going to be doing dry brushing. So I'm going to fill up my brush with a brown color. Then I'm going to take a rag or paper towel and I'm going to dry it most of the way off. Once it's pretty much dry, I'm going to drag this lightly across the page in horizontal strokes. Notice how we get this really interesting texture because we're doing dry brushing. I'm going to modify the brown color a little bit to make it a little bit more red or a little bit more yellow. And again, fill my brush up, tap it off, and then over that same area, I'm going to make some of those horizontal strokes. This area is kind of meant to look like wood grain, so you can do this a couple times in order to achieve the desired look. Then we need to let these sections dry or make it dry. For the next part, we're going to need some scissors, glue, a pencil, and something round. And if you want to add some additional snow details, a white gel pen. We're making a snow globe, and the circular part is going to be the round dome. On the blue section, you want to find your favorite part that looks the most snowy to you and trace out a circle. Then you're going to want to cut this part out. It's hard to cut a circle, but with a little patience and a little rotation, you'll get it. The dry brushing is meant to look a little bit like wood, so it's going to become the base of our snow globe. Rest it on there and trace out about where you want your base to be before cutting this part out too. For the tree, we're going to want to measure about how big this snow globe is going to be so that we can make a triangle that's going to fit on top of there. We're going to cut that out, and if you want to, you can actually cut out multiple triangles to place on top of each other to get a little extra dimension. Cut everything out, and then it's time to glue these all together. I went with segments on my tree, and I want to add a little bit of snow on it. I'm actually going to use this gel pen. This is the best white gel pen I have found yet. It's the Uniball Signo, and it has great coverage. I'm going to add just a little bit to the very bottoms of these because it kind of looks like it's resting on those sections, and a couple little extra snowflakes in the globe. Once it's done, you could frame this. You could use this as a gift tag, an ornament, or you could press it down onto a card. At the end, not only have you practiced watercolor, but you've got something cool.